We're all thrilled to have Dr. Babatunde with us. He's been a leader in the area of public health, global public health, for more than 3 decades. He's somebody that we all look up to, and it is a great honor to have you join us and give us, share your thoughts with us. The previous slide said inspirational conversations. And it's an inspiration to have you with us and to have you lead off this Plus Social Good Forum. Dr. Babatunde is the executive director of the UN Population Fund. Before that, he was the Minister of Health in Nigeria, and he was also the director of the Nigerian National AIDS Commission. He's been on dozens of advisory panels and commissions, far too many to note. He's a person that is looked up to around the world for his contributions to public health. Dr. Babatunde, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me first apologize for coming a little late. I was trying to arrange how we would expand family planning services in Africa through the Economic Commission for Africa, the United Nations agency. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to share with you my thoughts and to let you know that at UNFPA we believe that family planning is one of the most important social goods. Now, I think it's very fundamental. Fundamental in terms of the fact that I think it's a right, and I think family planning is the basis for human development. And all of us must understand why that is so. And let me take you back memory lane. The United Nations and the UNFPA actually started family planning in 1969, the UNFPA. So for over 4 decades, we have been at it. But there have been issues back and forth. And until 1994, when we had to redefine ourselves through the International Conference on Population and Development and recalibrate what family planning should be and how it would affect the lives of people. And that recalibration brought people back in the center of development, in which circumstance the choice that a woman makes today is going to affect who she is and what she becomes in the future. The choice that a girl makes is what also would eventually become what transforms her and what makes her a useful member of the community and someone who can contribute social good. Now, in a sense, all of that is predicated on our ability to make choices and to be able to access family planning. And I think many of us must think about it in order for us to appreciate it. I was in Nigeria last week, and I was at a school where we had, UNFPA was working with young women between the ages of 10 and 14. And they had mentors, and I was listening to the conversation. I just sat, I didn't make an intervention, I just listened to them. And it's amazing how around the world, there are so many young people, there are so many young girls who have been denied even that self-confidence, to be able to express themselves, to be able to explore the world, to be able to ask the question, why am I here? And what can I contribute? How do I add value to my environment? And what do I want to become? And how do I get there? And all of that. Now, it struck me that we as a community must go beyond just provision of services. We must also engage with communities to make social change happen. Because if that doesn't happen, we are not going anywhere. And I think, for me, that ability to change, that ability to transform, that ability to take a 10-year-old and make her see what she can become 20 years from now, and the possibilities that exist for her to do so, is such an empowering thing. And you can make sure that that happens because we have the skills. All of us have the skills, and all of us have the power to do so. Working with government, of course, and communities on the ground. So, in my view, that is what we have to do. Now, we're here in Africa, and I think the greatest challenge this continent has today is working with these young people. 1.2 billion young people in the world, 90% of them in the developing world, most of them on this continent, or a good part of them, maybe 40%. You are going to have to work with them. You are going to have to transform their lives. You are going to make them be part of thinking and be part of change to enable things to happen. And that comes back to our ability to create social change. I can tell you that every time I go to Nairobi and I sit with a group of young boys who are playing around with ICT, I'm totally impressed by what they're able to do and what is possible for them to accomplish. So let's come back to the issue of family planning, because I think we probably do not quite understand what that means for people around the world. This month, we launched a report on teenage pregnancy. 7.2 million girls get pregnant every year. Now, most of them don't want to get pregnant. And when you talk to them, it is about their inability to make those choices I've just talked about. When you talk to them, it's about the abuse of their rights. It's about getting them married at 12. It's about sexual-based violence. It's about the fact of conflict in their countries. And so we need to address that. And I think that is something which we have to place in our purview. Now, I'm glad that this conference is addressing the issues of young people. That is the frontier and the barrier that we are at this point in time. And we must find a way of doing that basic good to everybody. I'll tell you that one of the mantras that I've talked about is about these 600 million adolescent girls in the world today. And there are 600 million of them who are waiting for all of us to intervene in their work, in their lives. And I believe that if we do what we have to do to each one of them, create a safe space for them, get them to get education and skills, entrepreneurship, access to credit, we can transform them and the world. But how can we do that? What are the things we have to do as a community? And UN Foundation is focused on the issues of the adolescent girl. I think we need to take it a notch up. There are three things that are out there that we have to talk to. The first is that we are currently reviewing the International Conference on Population and Development Program of Action. And that is going to give us an opportunity to reaffirm, and what we are looking at is what are the growing points in population and development? What are the things the world needs to do to take this beyond Cairo 20 years back? And we've done regional meetings. We've come to a point where we realize today that the world is waiting for us to do that. Comprehensive sexuality education for the girls, making sure that we provide information and services and youth-friendly services, making sure that we protect their rights, making sure that we respect each person's sexual values and rights. The world is talking about it, and I think we need to take that. So we can get all of you to participate in that conversation wherever you are would be very good. The second is, of course, how this fits into the next development agenda. We're at a point where we are determining that development agenda. There are 3 entry points that I want you to look at. The first is the entry point under universal health coverage. We must ensure that the issues of sexual reproductive rights, health and rights come into that, family planning being the entry point for all of that. We must ensure that it is protected and it is not lost in the whole gamut of universal health coverage. The second opportunity with that is the gender. We have a gender goal that is being put together by UN Women, and within that is also reproductive health and rights, and I believe that that's something we all must support so it can go through. And the last, which UNFP has put together, is a youth goal, and that youth goal is what is going to make the difference, I think, in a place like Africa, where we must hold governments accountable to training, educating, providing services, entrepreneurship training, skills development, making sure we can create jobs for young people, making sure that all of the resources that are coming from the extractive industry of Africa is actually, reinvested to building human capital. Because that is the only sustainable way that the world can grow. And I have heard an argument this morning, for instance. How can we stop Africa from growing in terms of population? The best way is to educate girls. Because once girls are educated, they make different choices. The best way is to retain them in school, because once they're in school, they don't get pregnant. The best way is to provide them with skills so they can get jobs, so they can become people of substance in communities. And I think it's possible. I think it's doable. We've seen considerable change in governments in Africa. Rwanda is done very well. And there are many other countries in Africa that are actually on that path. And I just want you as a community, with me as part of that community, to continue to preach this social good, where the adolescent girl is in the middle of it, and she is the agent of change that we must build. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Babatunde Osotimehin.